Well, welcome to everybody that's just joining. We're going to give it 30 seconds to a minute longer just to wait for those other people that are coming in a minute. Okay, I think we'll get started. It looks like the number has slowed down now for people joining. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining so promptly to this session on the Sutton Trust Summer School and Apprenticeship Summer School programs. My name's Harry and I work as part of the programs team at the Trust. And I'm also joined by my colleague Aisha, who's also going to be talking to you today as part of this presentation. And then we're also really pleased to be joined by Dulce and Melissa, who are both alumni of the program, and they're going to be sharing some of their experiences of the program as well. If you have any questions throughout, just pop them in a Q&A and we'll get to them at the end. We'll do our best to get through all of those. We've left plenty of time for the Q&A part of this session. And then finally, if you have any kind of tech difficulties, please feel free to just pop those in the chat and one of us will get back to you as soon as possible to get that sorted. So first, who are the Sutton Trust? We champion social mobility, and we do this through our agenda setting research, which identifies root causes for low social mobility, our policy work, where we try to keep social mobility at the top of the agenda, and then our programs, where we now support over 6,000 students each year to access leading universities, careers, and apprenticeships. So since being founded in 1997, the Trust has worked with over 40,000 students on programs and influenced a number of policies at the local and national level to aid social mobility so that someone's background doesn't determine what they should achieve in life. So the first section of the presentation, just going to talk through the summer schools, and then we're going to come on to the apprenticeship summer schools a bit later on. So what are the summer schools? The summer schools support you to make informed decisions about your future post-school or college and give you the opportunity to experience university life by taking part in academic sessions, getting support with university applications, and also finding out about support that's available to you when you're at university. You'll also get to engage in social activities and meet other like-minded students from across the UK and speak directly to current undergraduates asking any questions that you might have about university life. I'm now going to pass over to Aisha, who's going to talk a bit more about those individual program elements in more detail.
Thanks, Harry. So students can choose from over 40 different courses across a range of disciplines, including subjects not offered at school, including archaeology, anthropology, medicine, to electronic engineering and Asian and Middle Eastern studies. You'll be able to engage with university lecturers and teaching staff to learn about and explore topics at an undergraduate level. You may also be able to take part in practical sessions, undertake group work and research projects as well. This is your opportunity to ask questions to both the academic staff about the course content and structure at university and to current undergraduate students about their experience as well on our UK summer schools. Alongside this, on our UK summer schools, you'll be able to receive help with your UCAS application and find out all about the support that will be available to you at university. You'll also be able to find out about how to make your application stand out, receive top tips on writing a personal statement, and how to approach interviews as well. You'll get to learn about support services you can access at university, from careers to mental health, as well as student finance, including any bursaries and funding support available for you. And on our UK summer schools, we just don't want you to only experience about the academics and learning. We also want you to have fun and experience the life of a real university student. You'll be able to meet new people from across the UK, both on your course and across the summer school through a range of social activities. This can include sampling university societies that could be anything from Tai Chi to circus skills, American football to knitting as well. There will also be other activities which may include talent shows or movie nights or exploring the local town or city, or even a trip to the theatre. Potentially as well, some really great online events as well, which will, again, just help you gain an insight in what's like at university. Through all these fun activities, you'll be able to, again, meet the new people, try new things out, and develop a range of vital new skills. Towards the end of your summer school, you'll be able to take part in a celebration event just to round off the week with all your new friends and reflect on everything that you have achieved. So the Sutton Trust UK summer schools specifically are run in partnership with 13 leading universities from across the UK. So you can see on the slide that we work with Bristol, Durham, King's and UCL, just to name a few. And the Sutton Trust and university partners completely cover the cost of attending the summer schools, including all travel. So you can apply to any university, no matter where you live in your country. Just also note that where you live won't be a factor that will be considered. So again, we really encourage you to apply to any university of interest. The dates and subject strands vary by university for our UK summer schools. So I would highly recommend for you to check out our website, which is summerschools.suttontrust.com. But we've also provided a really handy QR code, so you can just grab your phone and scan the QR code there. And just to note that for our UK summer schools, you can only apply for one course at one university. So now I'm just going to hand over again to Harry, who will be discussing about our apprenticeship summer schools.
Yeah, so now you've heard a bit about what the summer schools are. I've just got a few slides to explain our apprenticeship summer school program. So it's a 3-day residential program, and rather than being delivered by one of our university partners, it's delivered centrally by the Sutton Trust alongside leading employers in that space. And this year it's going to be at the University of Warwick. So the aim of the apprenticeship summer school in those 3 days is to give students a good opportunity to explore the different apprenticeships that are out there, how to access them, where to find them, how competitive they are, and how and when to apply to them. By the end, you should have a good understanding of what apprenticeships are and whether they're the right fit for you. And you'll also get to meet current apprentices and be able to speak to them and ask them any questions that you might have. You'll also meet employers and be involved in interactive sessions with them, so gaining the skills needed for mock interviews and learning about the different kinds of skills those employers are looking for in candidates. And then on the slide there are just some examples of the kinds of employers that we work with on the program. It's quite unique in that we work with partners across a range of different sectors. And even within those employers, there'll be many different opportunities and different apprenticeships that they'll come and talk to you about during the residential. And then an important part, when is the apprenticeship summer school taking place? Unlike our summer schools, which run across the whole of the summer and at multiple dates, there's only one apprenticeship summer school. So on the slide there, you can see a QR code, which you can scan, and that will take you through to the website where you can find out a bit more information. But the important point here is that the dates are key. So you need to be able to attend all 3 days in July. And that's an important point to consider if you are thinking about applying, is that you can commit to all of those days before you start your application. And that's everything we have on the apprenticeships. So now we're just going to highlight some of the support that's also available alongside both the UK summer schools and the apprenticeship summer school. And this is something that we offer to those that gain a place and also for some of those that may not. Access to this additional support will be through the Sutton Trust online platform. This platform is a relatively new digital platform created to support you over your 2 years of college and will guide you through exploring your options, applying to university or an apprenticeship. That's then followed by resources and sessions to prepare you for university and then succeeding whilst you're there. As well as this library of resources, you'll also have access to an online personal statement builder called Oscar. That's been proven to increase offer rates to top universities. And you'll also have the opportunity to apply for a subject-specific mentor who is an expert in university admissions. We have hundreds of current undergraduate students and Sutton Trust alumni who are studying or have studied every subject you can think of at universities across the UK and beyond. and you'll be able to speak to all of those about their experience and find out what uni life is really like. We will also have a range of events and webinars throughout the last 2 years of school to make sure you have all the information and support you need when you need it, from opportunities to talk directly to university admission tutors, to revision tips, to student finance. And now I'm going to pass back to Aisha.
So hopefully we've been able to give a quick summary and overview about our different summer schools that are available. And again, we just wanted to flag before moving on to why taking part. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to use the Q&A function or the chat. So on this slide, you can see that, that we have summarized all the different reasons why you can take part. The Sutton Trust undertakes rigorous evaluations on all our programs so we can understand what is working and how to improve what we do. So you can see that from our long-term projects with participants, some students have highlighted that they've been able to explore university firsthand, was able to increase their confidence, as well as develop academic and critical thinking skills. And I know there's a bunch of numbers on the page as well, but again, just from our evaluations and again, just assessing the different summer school programs, you can see the number of statistics that we have highlighted here. And I think one thing to really highlight is that students on our UK summer schools program were 4 times more likely to receive an offer from a leading university. And similarly as well, 69% of the UK summer school students was able to attend a Russell Group university. So hopefully those numbers can highlight again the impact that our programs have on young people like yourselves. If those numbers aren't enough and some of the reasons, you can see again just another amazing quote from Anna, who participated at the University of Edinburgh Summer School back in 2020. And I think the main things to highlight again is that she was able to gain lifelong friends, as well as an insight of what she wanted to study. And again, the program just really allowed her to ease herself into university, which is really great to hear. I'm really excited to be introducing now you to 2 alums, Dulce, who is currently in her 3rd year at the University of Aberdeen and completed a UK summer schools program in 2018, as well as Melissa, who is a history graduate at the University of Nottingham, who completed a UK summer schools program in 2014 instead. So now we're just going to stop the slide for a moment. And again, I welcome Dulce and Melissa, who will be discussing about their experience. So could Melissa start first about her experience and afterwards Dulce?
Yeah, that's fine. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. As Aisha said, I took part in the summer school back in 2014, so it is quite a while ago for me now. But the reason I'd say I chose to apply to it back then was partly because I was taking part in things at college that were aiming to get us into universities, get more experience with university. And also it just seemed like a really good way to get to a university that I wouldn't have been able to visit otherwise. I wouldn't have known what that university was like at all. So I went, took part in the history programme at Cambridge University with the Sutton Trust. And it was mainly to see if I'd like to study history at university, if I wanted to apply to Cambridge and get that bit more experience with what it was actually like being at university. It was something that I'd say my sixth form college really pushed for us to get that experience of different environments. I'm from Manchester, so we'd done a lot of trips to like Manchester University, Manchester Metropolitan, but we never really branched out further than that. So for me, applying to this was a way to see what was out there that was more than just the local area that we'd been shown. I think I'd also say I just wanted to learn more about history. It seemed like a good chance to apply and get a week learning interesting stuff from interesting academics and lecturers. Again, to see if I liked the subject, but also just purely because that was what I enjoyed studying at the time at sixth form. So for me, it was just a chance to get a taster of the university experience, and hopefully something I could then use in a personal statement to UCAS, in interviews if I had any university interviews. So I'd say I really enjoyed that week. Like I said, it was a while ago, but I still have fond memories of the people I met. I'm still in touch with some of them 8 years later, which is obviously really nice. And yeah, I remember taking part in a lot of lectures, social events with people on the programme, even just as simple as, you know, spending time in university accommodation, meeting them in the evenings for meals was really nice. And finding out a bit more about the university from different lecturers, and just seeing if that was the type of experience that I'd want at university. And I'd definitely say that that helped with university applications afterwards. I knew a bit more about what I wanted to do, that I'd would like to study history. And I think just in terms of the programme itself, for me, it was the first time I'd travelled on trains on my own, the first time I'd sort of done a long trip, and from me to Cambridge is over 4 hours on trains, so it was quite a long trip. First time I'd done that by myself, so it was a good taste of independence as well, to sort of get away somewhere else for 5 days, around all these people from all over the country. So I'd say it's definitely a great experience, regardless of if you end up going to that university that you've sort of spent the summer school at. It's just good in general to have behind you. And then, yeah, since then, I think I'd say the stuff I sort of took part in that programme definitely helped with university applications. I did go on to study history at the University of Nottingham. I think I did apply to Cambridge at the time, had some interviews, didn't get in, but that was fine. I still got into University of Nottingham and graduated from there about three and a half years ago now with a history degree, as well as spending a semester of that in Australia as well, studying at a university there. So in general, it was just a really good experience that I took, that definitely made me feel a bit more confident in the first week of university, I'd say. I'd already had that chance of being around lots of people from lots of different places. I'd spent time in university accommodation. So I'd just say overall it was quite a positive experience.
Thanks for sharing so much, Melissa, your experience. And it's great to hear that you continued on to study history. Again, would like to bring now Dulce, if she could be able to share her experience about her UK Summer Schools programme.
Hi guys, as they said, my name is Dulce Lopez, and I was part of the Pathways to Law cohort between 2017 and 2019, and therefore I went to the University of Warwick Summer School to study law. Really, the experience was one that I couldn't miss, because especially part of my course, it was just so incremental to attend, because Pathways to Law is very much preparing for university, and I think this was the best section of the entire experience, because it gave you the most hands-on and genuine experience of university and what to expect. I admittedly, looking back, I did look at it as a bit like a little getaway with my friends, just because I had made lots of really cool friendships in Pathways, and many of the people went, and therefore I genuinely enjoyed it. But the best thing about it was when we first arrived, they put us immediately into new teams, and we were mixed with people from other cohorts. So from people from, I was from the LSE cohort. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but we were mixing with people from the Oxford cohort and people from the Nottingham cohort, and just many different other universities. And therefore we had to branch out again and make whole new friends, and essentially build teams with them. And that was a genuine highlight, especially because we had, I think we were launched quite quickly into negotiation challenges and little like meeting events and these debate mate events. And it was really surprising how quickly I bonded and meshed with other people. And I have a bit of a competitive streak, so I was quite happy to have won some of the debate competitions against the other teams. And I think that was it was really what it was about, that just meeting with other like-minded people and just meshing together and getting through this, not only these couple of days, but the genuine university experience. And something that I really, really enjoyed was just seeing the structure of the itinerary, because it's something that I've continued to model throughout my years university. And I say that because in the morning, you know, we had like the breakfast slot, and then after that we'd have like a mock law lecture, or we'd have like an employer or an organization come in and talk to us. An example being Norton Rose Fulbright, who took us through this personality quiz, which really helped us find out who we were as people. As in, are we more dominant? Are we more influential? That kind of thing. And it really helped in determining what career paths we might like, what other subjects we might like, if not law. And I think it was just such an illuminating experience. And it really, I mean, I was really set on going to university in the first place, but I think it just further showed that I was making the right decision, and just really showing whether it was something I wanted to do, because it's such a timely and a costly investment. So I think it really just drove home that this was something I wanted to do for the next couple of years. I'm currently on my year abroad in the Netherlands as part of my LLB in the University of Aberdeen. And as I said, the work-life balance that we experienced in those couple of days, really helped me to see how I would model my days after that, because it was the first time I ever got away from home. And it was the first time that I could genuinely just craft my day and find out, okay, this is what I'm doing first, and then this is what I'm going to do in the evening, and that kind of thing. And I genuinely couldn't think of my experience with Pathways to Law, or just my sixth form experience as a whole, without thinking of the Warwick Summer School. Like, it genuinely shaped so much of my, I want to say, year 12, and I'm genuinely grateful to it.
Thank you so much for, again, sharing your particular experience at Warwick University, and also just highlighting, like you said, the range of skills that you were able to develop. I think just one thing to highlight to the students out there, it's great that Melissa and also were able to, after the summer school, know that they wanted to go on to that particular course, and also university as well. But equally as so, there are just so many participants who had completed the summer school and may have realized that, okay, university may not have been for me. Maybe I would want to go into apprenticeships, or another situation where I really did not enjoy the course that I went to, but I really loved the university. So again, would really encourage anyone to just apply for the summer schools, because by the end of it, many of the students that participated were able to build their confidence in making really informed choices. So that now ends off the section from our alums, and now passing it on to Harry for the final bits of the presentation.
Great, thank you, speakers, and thank you, Aisha. That was really good insight into the program. We've now just got a couple slides to run through some application information, so just some final important bits. Aisha, the slides look okay on there?
Yep, they look good.
Great. So who can apply? We have our mandatory criteria. So you must be in year 12, England and Wales, year 13, Northern Ireland, or S5, Scotland. And secondly, you must have always attended a state school. If you meet both of those criteria, then you're eligible to apply. And on the slide there, you can see some of the additional criteria that we're also looking for when making offers for the program. So for grades, we're looking at 5 GCSEs, grades 9 to 6. We also look at whether students are first generation or have been eligible for free school meals, and then some more information on the school you attend and the area you live in. You don't need to fulfill all of those criteria to apply, but the more you meet, the more likely you are to be offered a place. And then at the bottom there, there's a bit of key information, which is something we're offering from this year, that all students that apply to either a summer school or an apprenticeship summer school, if you meet the grades criteria and any one of the other social mobility criteria, then you'll also be offered access to the Sutton Trust online platform, which we were discussing earlier. So just to clarify, if you apply and you're unsuccessful to a summer school, you may still be eligible for the Sutton Trust online platform. So we really do recommend that you do apply. And then final slide on how to apply. Once you know that you're eligible for the program, you'll just need to complete an online application by Wednesday, the 9th of March. Unfortunately, we can't take any late applications, so please do make sure you meet that deadline to avoid disappointment. In your application, you will also be asked to nominate a teacher to verify the information that you've provided, and the deadline for your teachers to verify is the 14th of March. The timeline after that is decisions will be shared by May. You'll then be granted access to Sutton Trust Online. You'll then attend the summer school, and following completion of the program, you'll be invited to join our alumni community. But that's everything that we have in terms of the presentation on the summer school and the apprenticeship summer school. So thank you very much for listening to all of that. And we're now going to spend the rest of the time looking at some of the questions that have been coming in. And if you do think of any now, please do feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. So the first one I can see is how many places are offered to students that are in lower socioeconomic groups. So when submitting your application, all of the applications are sent to universities and they will decide which students they select on the cohort that year. As I said, the criteria that we're looking for does involve students that are from lower socioeconomic areas. So if you meet that criteria, that's one of the kind of key additional criteria that universities are looking for. It's one of the weighted criteria. So that's the aim of the program, along with the kind of other factors that we're looking for, the FSM and first generation students, as well as the kind of school that you go to. Can see some more questions coming in. Yes, we can share the slides after. We'll also share a recording of the presentation. One here that maybe I can put out to our alumni and Aisha as well is what is an average day in a summer school like? I haven't attended one myself, but yeah, feel free to jump in, any of our panelists, if you like to say something on that.
Yeah, sure, I can speak about that. So from what I remember a lot of early starts, getting up for breakfast with everyone. For me, it was in one of the Cambridge colleges, so we'd go and eat in sort of the Cambridge college dining room, which was really nice. And then if we had like a class with someone where we'd be learning something, we went over to that. Again, maybe walking through the city, going to one of the buildings. And there were scheduled social things as well. So we had tasters from societies. We had different activities that maybe other staff were running, such as like quizzes in the evening. Sometimes we went on tours of local things. So I remember we went to like a local museum. We went in a few of the libraries that were with the colleges. So it was quite varied. I wouldn't say there's like a set structure to every single day. But it's really nice getting to have different lectures and different sort of seminar kind of sessions at different times of the day. I think we did an ultimate frisbee session at one point, if I'm remembering right. So really varied in terms of what we did each day, but almost like what a university student would be doing, different every day.
Happy to move on, but if you also want to jump in, Aisha or Dulce, feel free to.
Yeah, so fun fact about me that I didn't mention before the presentation is that I also completed a UK summer school back in 2017 at King's specifically. So how my day was structured was, again, similar to Melissa's, I think very early mornings and quite very structured days. But again, it was very varied. But similar pattern in the sense of having breakfast with everyone, a few academic sessions, additional support sessions from other organizations or people, and then ending it off with a few social events. Even though the days seemed initially quite long, I think looking back, I kind of wish that they were longer, just because, again, I was able to just make friends from day one. And again, the university that I attended and all the university partners were able to really integrate us from the moment that we first entered. But I think, again, one highlight from like the typical day was on the second to last day, I had a really nice boat party, which is a great social. And I'm sure Dulce and Melissa will have fun stories of their own socials that they had in the afternoons as well.
Great, thank you both. Sounds like a good time. I wish I could have been on one myself. So another question that's come in is just on attending other programs. So if you've attended the Sutton Scholars Program and it clashes with this one, we used to be able to register for the program. Yes, that's absolutely fine. If you've been on Sutton Scholars, or if you're currently in the last year of Sutton Scholars, then you can apply for this program. However, with other programs, so if you are currently on Pathways, or if you're applying to the US and you're successful on that, you won't be able to attend both. So Sutton Scholars, yes, that's fine, but we can't allow students to attend more than one program in the same year. What do unis look for in the UK summer schools application? So the universities are looking mainly for those key criteria that we outlined on the slides previously. You will also fill out a personal statement. However, the kind of key bits that universities will look at are those additional criteria. So they all use the same scoring system with the data that's collected essentially by our store application system. And that will be the kind of the leading criteria that affects whether you get on the program. Personal statement aid for application. We don't offer any personal statement aid for the summer schools application itself. All of the support will come after through Sutton Trust Online if you're successful in gaining a place on the summer school, or if you are also offered a place on the Sutton Trust Online core program. Are any of the different summer school programs particularly competitive to get a place for? Yes, some of the summer school programs do receive a lot more applications than others. However, the program as a whole is highly competitive. Last year we had 13,000 applications, and that's for 2,500 spaces. The good thing is that this year we do have the Sutton Trust Online platform, so we'll be able to offer a lot of additional support to students that don't get a place on a face-to-face program. But typically it's about 5 to 1 in terms of students that get on versus the number of applications that we get. Are all of the summer schools planned to be in person this year? Yes, we are planning to run the summer schools in person this year. That is, of course, dependent on kind of government guidance and how things change between now and when the programs are actually delivered. But we are really hoping to get back to face-to-face delivery. We did online last year. The online kind of programs worked really well. However, it's our priority to get back to face-to-face as soon as possible. Can you apply to a program if you're not doing any of the suggested subjects? So yeah, universities will have their own course requirements listed on the website. You'll see those once you apply and choose the course on the application site. So that should pop up once you select the course, and you'll see the subjects that they're asking for there. If you're not doing any of the suggested subjects, then it is unlikely that you will be offered a place on the program. However, we do offer a range of different courses, and hopefully there's something in there for everyone depending on the different A levels that you study. So yeah, we would encourage you to try and find a course that matches the A levels that you're studying at the moment. Are you doing any summer schools for law this year? Yes, there are law programs available. I can't remember off the top of my head which universities have those, but yeah, there are plenty of those. So if you go onto the website, you'll be able to find out all of the different courses that are available. And once you fill out the application form, you'll also be able to see which law courses there are for the different universities. Perhaps one for the panel I can put out is there any advice if you're struggling with choosing between different universities or different courses? So yeah, maybe some guidance or tips on how you came to choose the summer school that you wanted to do and the university that you applied for.
I can start first from just my experience. So I definitely struggled when I was in year 12, when I was choosing, I guess, which university and course. But I think one factor that I considered was like looking at my current A levels. And again, as Harry suggested, seeing what whether certain courses required specific A level subjects. I think as well, I decided what I wanted to apply for the UK summer schools by just my interest. I think I was definitely interested at King's, interested in studying in London as well, which is why I chose a university within London. And also I was quite interested in pharmacy and wanted to find out more about it. So those were just some factors that I had decided when I was making my application. And again, even though after the week I found out that I did not like pharmacy whatsoever, I ended up really loving the university and went for geography instead. So again, just to highlight again that, yeah, to just really choose your interests as a factor. But I don't know if Melissa will do say if you have any other piece of advice or your experience when making a decision.
So I picked to apply to Cambridge, I think, because I wouldn't have been able to visit Cambridge otherwise. It was sort of a university that was a bit out of bounds for me, wouldn't have been able to like afford the travel there, or probably wouldn't have gone there otherwise or even applied. So I sort of based it off which university would be like the most beneficial personally for me to visit. And also just I'd heard really good things about its history program. I was kind of undecided between history and English at the time, but I was getting better grades in English, I think, at the time. So I was like, well, I'll go on a history one and see if I actually do prefer it. So I didn't just end up picking a university off which grades I was getting better in, basically.
I can just jump in off of Melissa's point in terms of just looking like geographically or whatever considerations you might have, a university that you would intend to choose. So for example, if you live somewhere in England and you wanted to just try something radically different, somewhere you haven't considered like Edinburgh, I feel like this would be an amazing opportunity, especially because, you know, like travel's covered and things like that. And I feel like in the likely event that you don't actually love the university you're there for, at least you know concretely, I'd love to stay in England, or I'd love to go up to Scotland, or things like that. So I think really just, I mean, it would be great if you are really settled in university and you went there, but if you are more open to different things, then I would definitely consider just going for more of an outlandish kind of choice and seeing what works for you and seeing what doesn't.
Yeah, and I guess part of the summer school is also, you know, finding out about what you want to do at university and exploring different courses. You don't necessarily have to go down the path of your summer school. If you find out something isn't for you, that's also a good outcome of the summer school. If we're unsure about whether we want to do an apprenticeship or go to university, which summer school would you suggest is best? So the programs are separate and you can't apply to both. So you will need to make a decision on that, I think. So yeah, I think maybe just doing as much research as you can before. There's still plenty of time before the deadline. Checking out information on the website about what the courses offer. And then you'll need to decide whether you want to apply to the UK summer school program or the apprenticeship summer school program.
I was just also going to add that, for example, if you're really torn between apprenticeships or the university summer school, many universities nowadays are also offering open days, or you can check out their website and speak to ambassadors. So if the apprenticeship route is for you, I would highly recommend, because I don't think there are as many opportunities to further explore that as much as compared to universities. So that could be a factor, or equally as so, if you are really keen to just want to find out more about university, then would recommend the university summer school instead.
Yeah. What if you went to a boarding school in year 7, but then went to a state school for the rest of secondary school? So if you have previously attended private education, unfortunately, we do have the mandatory criteria that all of our applicants must have always attended a state school. We have to do this because the programs are heavily subscribed, and based on research from our research team, we're looking to kind of educational outcomes for young people, those students that have taken part in any non-state education, even if it's only been for a part of your education, the program is more beneficial for those that haven't at all. So yeah, we have to draw the line somewhere, unfortunately, but if you have attended a fee-paying school at any point of your education, you won't be eligible to apply, unfortunately. When do teachers get sent their verification email? Teachers will get sent that as soon as you apply. So yeah, as soon as you've selected them and submitted the application, that will be automatically sent to them right away. And we'll also send reminders to teachers just to make sure that they do verify it before the deadline. So applications are assessed based on the criteria that we outlined previously. So yeah, we have those mandatory criteria, and then those additional criteria are the ones which will be used to decide which students are the most eligible for the program. Are grammar school students eligible? So that kind of goes back to the question previously. Grammar school students would fall into the same category as non-state schools. So yeah, you wouldn't be eligible to apply, I'm afraid. Just having a quick look through here, let's see more questions. So maybe another for the panel, were there any sessions or points on the summer school program that you found particularly difficult or complicated? So a bit of a tricky question to go back and think about. But yeah, feel free to jump in again if anyone's got any thoughts on that.
I wouldn't say any were difficult. They were obviously set to the level of sixth form college students, so I wouldn't say they were difficult in terms of understanding and content. I do remember one where we were given reading for overnight for a session the next day, which was obviously university students have to do reading for a session. So that obviously is quite specific to history. So that was a bit of, I still wouldn't say that was difficult. It was just another thing to bear in mind that might happen. But I'd say they were all set out quite well, and the academics that we had seminars and lectures for, their content was quite relatable. It wasn't too difficult to understand. So no, I wouldn't say any were sort of intimidating, and like the academics are there as well to lead those sessions. They're not like scary people who you're going to be intimidated by in the sessions.
I wanted to say, I don't think the academic portions were challenging as much as the actual like challenges were. And I say that to say like the debate section, just because I remember arriving from London and then immediately being put into a team and then having to kind of launch into like this debate essentially with other members of your team, just to like prime everybody and just to get them geared up and ready for the week ahead. And I just think it was just very sudden, and it was just you had to immediately just like launch into not attacking, but just, you know, like any good law student, just picking holes in an other person's argument. And I think if you don't love public speaking, it was a bit rough. I wouldn't say rough, but it was just pushing us out of our comfort zones, definitely. But I definitely wouldn't say there was anything particularly difficult. It was just new experiences, and just even if you messed up, then it really didn't matter ultimately. It was just fun, essentially.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky question, but good to hear your insights on that. So one question that's come in is on what the online programs consist of. So the online programs follow a very similar structure to the summer school ones. So we've worked to try and recreate those to still be week-long courses where you will still engage in all of the academic sessions, have all of the application support, get to talk to kind of university staff and current undergraduates. It's just all of that takes place online through Zoom sessions, so webinars and meetings, very much like the one that we're on now. The online program, so I guess Sutton Trust online platform also has a lot of resources there. So it works as a portal where you can log in and explore a lot of the content yourself. And so, yeah, there'll be loads of resources on university applications, all of the kind of course information and the different courses that universities offer. And you'll have a login to that. So you'll be able to access it at any time, and you'll go through the different stages. So there'll be an explore part where you look at the different options available to you. There'll then be an apply phase where you can kind of start thinking about applications, get all of that application support with the Oscar building personal statement builder tool, and then preparing for university and then succeeding while you're there. Is there anything apart from criteria that will help you gain a competitive advantage? No, there isn't. All of the applications are scored in the same way. So yeah, you just need to go through the application, fill it out. Your teacher will then verify that, and the universities will make a decision based on the answers you provided there. For grades, requirement is that grades achieved or target grades. That will be grades achieved. So it's your GCSE results. We do also ask you to provide A-level grades, so your predicted grades, but the ones that are used to assess whether you're suitable for the program will be your GCSE results. So there's quite a lot of questions on whether there are certain courses available. So I can see dentistry has come up, computer science and maths. Yes, we do have courses for those. But again, the best way to kind of check is to go on the website and have a look through. We've got all of the course information available there. So yeah, hopefully there should be something for everybody. A question here for the panel. What have you all studied at university? And maybe also comment on whether that was the same as your summer school or how your summer school impacted what you chose.
Yeah, I'll go first on that. I studied history at university, and that was the same as the summer school I took part in. But I'd say I also spent about a third of my degree, in probably a quarter maybe, doing cultural anthropology as well. So a little bit of a mixture. And the university I went to let you pick about a third of each year outside of history as well, which was good. So overall I have a history degree, but like different things within that too.
I did end up doing law. I currently do English and Scots law in Aberdeen, and I did law summer school in Warwick. And I do think that it was a direct consequence from attending the summer school, just because it really reaffirmed that I genuinely am so interested in it. And while it's a very challenging course, you know, when you're actually into it, it's just so fulfilling. So, yeah.
Aisha, do you want to talk about what you studied? Or?
Yeah, so I studied BSc Physical Geography at King's, and although I participated in the King's Summer School, I chose pharmacy. So again, very different to what I ended up deciding. But again, the summer school was just reassurance that King's was the place that I wanted to go to, and allowed me to meet ambassadors. So when I went to King's, it was just like a step up, because I already knew people from different years and already had the head start with the opportunities out there.
And then I also studied geography and international development. So I was at the University of Sussex. Another question here on courses. Once you apply, can you change the university or course that you choose? Yes, you can, but it must be before the deadline. So if you do submit an application and then later decide that you want to change the course, you just need to email applications@suttontrust.com and we'll be able to support you with doing that. What happens if your teacher hasn't received your teacher verification email after you've applied? So the teacher should receive it automatically. If they haven't, then please ask them to get in contact with us, or you can email applications@suttontrust.com as well. And we can try and get that information to them another way. Your application will not be disqualified if it isn't verified by the deadline date. So yeah, if it's something that hasn't happened by that deadline date, don't worry about your application not being forwarded to your university. It will be. Will you have less of a chance of getting a place if you attended a grammar school? So just to clarify on the grammar schools, is any non-fee paying school will be eligible. So yeah, if you've attended a grammar school and it's fee paying, I'm afraid you won't be eligible for the program. If you are one of those that isn't, then yeah, you will be eligible to apply. That won't affect your chances of getting a place on the program. Yeah. Would being the first generation of your family to attend university still be considered as the first generation to attend uni? So yeah, it's first generation is decided on whether your parents have attended university. So you'll be asked to kind of fill out some information on whether they've got a degree and where that was. If both of your parents haven't or any of your guardians haven't, then you'll be considered first generation. If you go to a uni for the summer school and then later apply, will you have a better chance of getting in to the university because you attended the summer school program with them? So with some universities, they will look at whether you've attended a Sutton Trust Pathways program. For the summer schools, we don't have kind of contextual offers like we do for some of the Pathways university programs. So yeah, it's a useful thing to attend the school, the university that you're planning to apply to. I think it will give you like a great advantage and insight into the kind of things they're looking for. Does your teacher need to be from your secondary school? We would recommend that the teachers from your secondary school and is someone that you're in contact with. If you're not in a position to do that, then you're just probably best emailing applications@suttontrust.com to explain a bit more about your situation, and we can support you with getting the correct verification details. If you choose a popular university, will your chances of being accepted be lower? Yes, if you choose one course that is heavily oversubscribed, places for that will be competitive. So I guess in that sense, there is a chance that you'll have a lower chance of getting onto the program. But I think the important thing when choosing which university course you want to choose for the summer schools is to do the one that you're most interested in, the one that you're most passionate about. Don't make choices so much on trying to guess which one you think you'll have the best chance of getting onto. If you're not successful, can you appeal? Unfortunately, we don't have an appeal process, so the decisions are final. Fortunately, we will have a lot of extra support for Sutton Trust through Sutton Trust Online. So if you are unsuccessful in gaining a place on a face-to-face program, hopefully that digital offering will be made available to you as well. Will this course look appealing on our university applications? Yes, I think universities will see that as kind of you going out and seizing initiative and exploring your options, and there's probably going to be a lot of stuff you can talk about in your university applications that you'll learn on the program. I don't know if any of the panel want to come in on this and talk about whether they used their summer schools in their university application or if it helped them in that way. But I think, yeah, universities may not necessarily look for it as as something that you need to have done to get into university, but there's going to be a lot of extra things that can contribute to your application and really kind of improve the quality of it.
If I could just jump in,
Sure.
I don't want to say it was a direct consequence, but I did apply to Warwick and I was given a place after, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend writing. I went to insert university here, summer school, for fear of alienating other schools you may be applying to. But I think if you just break down like a specific task that you did within some school and talk specifically about which skills you used and which knowledge you garnered over the experience, I think, as Harry was saying, it really does demonstrate initiative and a genuine passion for the subject. I hate that word because they use it all the time, but a genuine interest in the subject. And for example, if you have, because I think we have like a lecture on Facebook and Google on what it meant for law. I'm not entirely sure about it now, but that led me to explore other topics associated to that. And I think I explored that a little bit in my personal statement. And I think it showed like a real interrogation with what I learned with the summer school and me appearing as though I know kind of what to expect going forward in university and picking the degree that I've picked and showing that I'm a very viable candidate and that even without being in university, I've done the due diligence and I'll keep doing that.
Anybody else want to come in before I move on?
I think I'd just add, it was really useful to be able to write about in an application. It just showed something else that I'd done that was more experience. And I think when I did have interviews at the Cambridge where I went on the summer school, I think they did ask me about it because I'd mentioned it in my personal statement. So it was just something else to talk about really and explain what I'd learned that week.
Great, thank you both. One question that's come in is on whether one of your parents or guardians attended university and the other didn't, would you still be classified as first generation? So no, you wouldn't. If one of your parents or guardians has attended university, then you won't get the marker for first generation. Would you be able to join societies? And if yes, will you have to pay for them or is that covered by the program? So I guess if you mean, can you join societies through the summer school? You won't, while you're there, be able to join like university societies, but we'll have lots of different social events taking place to kind of give you that taster of different social events that take place at uni. Societies will also be something that's covered on the Sutton Trust Online platform. You can find out a lot more there. You'll also be able to talk to kind of current undergraduate students about the different societies that they take part in. So yeah, you should be able to find out a lot of information on the different societies through the program. If you apply to both UK and US summer schools and you are successful with the US application, can you still wait for the outcome of the UK application? So if you're successful with the US application, we won't be able to consider you for the summer school program, I'm afraid. So yeah, if you're offered a place on one of the other programs, that program will have to kick off and you'll be started on that one. So we don't really want to be recommend that students hold out for the summer school to then later withdraw from the US program, as that would potentially take a place for another student that could have taken part in that program. Scrolling through some of the other ones that are coming in. You can see there's quite a few in the chat as well. Aisha's been getting through those. Do other barriers to education count as criteria? For example, physical disabilities, autism, or mental health issues? So you will fill out some information on kind of areas of the application that we need to support you best on the program, but those won't be taken into consideration when looking at the social mobility scores. So the key points that we use to work out whether students are eligible for the program and which ones will be selected are again the ones that we talked through on the slides earlier. So it's looking at the school you went to, the area you live in, and then some kind of personal characteristics, so the FSM and first generation. My mum has recently started going to university, but has not yet completed it. Would you be considered first generation to attend university? So the question in the application form will ask whether your parents have a degree. So for that, you will answer no. So I would say that that will still count as first generation. Yeah, the question asks which student, if parents or guardians have attended university and if they have a degree. If your parents went to a polytechnic, does that count as a university, or would you still be first generation? I think polytechnics we would still consider to be universities if they have, yeah, they'll have a degree as well. So the response to that question will be yes. So that won't be considered first generation. Do we have to write a personal statement to the university we choose to do the summer school at? So you will do a personal statement as part of your application. So yeah, it's just a good opportunity to talk a bit about kind of things you're hoping to get out of the program and some of your interests and kind of passions. It's not something which is heavily weighted when we're deciding which students are given a place on the program. That will be mainly the criteria that we've covered. That looks to be all of the questions in the Q&A. Is there anything in the chat I'm scrolling through that needs to be picked up on? Have I missed anything in there?
I think just the only one is from Keisha. If you are eligible for free school meals in year 12, is that considered a part of your contextual offer? So I think specifically for the UK, for some schools applications, free school meals will be considered. But with regards to contextual offers, I would recommend checking out our website again and the university pages specifically when you do apply for university. And I think there is another question. How is the apprenticeship program? So I don't know if because I know Catherine has been answering a few of the questions. If Catherine, you would be happy to provide some insight into the apprenticeship summer school as you had run the program, or if not, Harry and I could just give a more general experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Apprenticeship Summer School is a 3-day residential programme, and this is the first year it'll be run as a face-to-face programme. It's been delivered digitally for the last 2 years. And the concept of the programme is so you get a real good chance to understand what apprenticeships are, what the different levels are, the qualifications, who offers them, how to access those. You get to meet current apprentices, so you can ask them questions such as maybe what the social life is like, are there other apprentices on their apprenticeship, how do they manage the work-study side of things, maybe those questions that you don't want to ask employers, and then you'll get a chance to meet lots of employers as well, so you can ask them similar questions but maybe slightly different. So things like, what do they look for in their apprentices, how competitive are their apprenticeship programs, what do they really value in apprenticeships, do they kind of value them as much as the grad routes or alternative routes, and get an understanding of what people feel about apprenticeships as well as how to access those. Alongside that, you'll have all of the social elements that Aisha and Harry have spoken about on the UK summer schools, and you'll get a really action-packed few days. It'll be very full on and you'll get lots of information, and then we'll follow that up afterwards with that information. So yeah, hopefully that's a quick kind of overview of the Apprenticeship Summer School.
There's also, I would highlight an alum story. So if you check out our Sutton Trust website, we do have a few stories from our alums, and there's one recent one from the Apprenticeship Summer School from the first cohort. So I can share the link with you, Aisha, hopefully. So you can have a read as well about her experience. And it's really exciting that this year we're able to, hopefully, fingers crossed, have the Apprenticeship Summer School in person at the University of Warwick. And then, if anyone else wanted to add anything. Oh, sorry.
I can just see another that's come in, which is also to do with already being on other courses. So this one from Jessica: if you're on Nottingham Ambition course, can you still apply for the Nottingham Summer School? Yes, you can. So if you're on any other Scholars Programme, Widening Participation Programme with other universities that isn't Sutton Trust, you will be eligible to apply for ours as well. I think I saw another one about costs. All of the fees involved with the summer school are completely covered by us. So all of your travel, accommodation, everything will be covered by the programme, and you won't be expected to pay for that. Are you supervised during the residential stay? Yes, you will be supervised by university staff and also by kind of undergraduate volunteers that support on the programme.
There's also a question from an anonymous attendee in the Q&A chat. So does the fact that I started year 11 later, moved to the UK during year 11 and got lower GCSE grades because that affected negatively my application? My grades off from my other school were always 8s and 9s, so they would meet the criteria. Just to reassure everyone that academic performance is, again, just one of many factors that we consider in an application, and you'll be able to include any extenuating circumstances within your application, and also would encourage your teacher to highlight any additional circumstances that we should be aware of when they verify your application. So hopefully that answers your question there. And then another one again about costs. We do, when you do apply for a summer school, you are expected to attend the entirety of the summer school. So would not encourage students that can't attend the entire days that are listed on our website. And again, just to reassure students that all costs will be covered by us and our university partners.
And then a question on courses: how many places are available? That does vary between the different courses. There's normally around 30 to 50 spots per course. And yeah, all of the universities kind of have different allocations that are spread between the different courses. So I guess there's not any course that's overly competitive based on numbers. Again, just choosing the ones that are kind of the ones that you're most interested in. How long will the site program be? Will it be from 9 till 3 p.m.? So yeah, the residential does involve full days of activities. Again, panelists, feel free to kind of chip in here and talk about what the days were like. But yeah, they're 4 days with kind of all of the academic and university sessions in the day, and then there'll be kind of social activities in the evening.
I think from my experience at King's, I can remember that it was actually quite earlier. So again, I remember waking up for probably 7 or slightly earlier because the start was actually 8, and then ended off again slightly later in the evenings. But I don't, again, it varies depending on each university, but I know specifically at King's, they do work towards leaving areas for time for breaks, where you can just go back to your accommodation. But again, they are slightly longer, but I would say 100% worth it, just because of the amount that you gain from all the sessions and the social events.
If I could just jump in, I think the days when, I think someone used the word action-packed, I think that's absolutely right. Like Aisha was saying, it's a very early start. And I remember specifically the evening activities. I think you had the choice between a quiz night, sports, pool, and games like that. You had movies, and also you had karaoke, and I think I did that quite a few times, embarrassingly enough. And I feel like they would go on until about 11 p.m. and then that would be the time that we'd kind of be expected to go back to your accommodation, and you'd get ready for the next day. So it is very, very much just go, like the entire time you're there. And as Isha was saying, again, it is so worth it, and I think it was so enjoyable.
Can you only apply to one summer school? Oh, is that a response, Aisha? Yes, you've answered that question. Great. When applying, do you list all of the GCSEs that you've received, because it only allows you to enter one of the GCSEs? You should be able to enter all of them. That sounds like that might be a kind of technical issue. So please just drop us an email at applications@suttontrust.com, and we'll have a look into that for you, because you do need to provide all of your GCSE grades and then your predicted A levels. I think it looks like we've got through most of them. So yeah, we'll just wait 1 more minute in case anybody's got any final questions. I don't know if the panel want to say any kind of final points, top tips, or things that you really enjoyed on the programme just before we wrap up.
I mean, you can go, Melissa.
Yeah, fine to jump in. I'd just say it's definitely worth it. And like, if you're on the fence about applying, like maybe a bit nervous about going for it, because it is a week with people you've never met before, I'd just say go for it, because it's such a valuable experience, and it's what if you move out for university, it's very similar to what you'll be doing, meeting new people, having new experiences, and it just gives you that bit of a head start before university. So I'd definitely just say go for it if you're on the fence.
So I can just add that when I was considering, at first I again wasn't really sure if this was the right thing for me, because I saw that none of my other friends were applying. So then I thought, oh, is it a case where I'm going out for the first time away from my house for more than a few days, and also I might be potentially the only other person, and I'm glad that I definitely ignored all those kind of initial thoughts or lack of confidence, because again, it was just such an amazing experience. And if you are having issues with being unsure about what university or course to apply for, particularly with the summer schools, or whether you wanted to go for the apprenticeship or university summer schools, I would highly encourage you to speak to all your teachers just for advice, or just to hear from different opinions, because that might help you think of other things that you weren't initially considering. So that is, again, just a piece of advice and final top tip.
I just wanted to say, very much reiterating the other points, that you really have nothing to lose. And I think even if you end up not choosing or not liking the subjects that you end up going into, or not necessarily loving the university that you're at, I feel like you'll genuinely find something that you'll enjoy. And at the very least, you'll learn something about yourself. Like, I prefer campus universities to city, or vice versa. And I can do this subject, or I can do this. So I think, honestly, just go for it. Like, I can't, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, I think that's a really good place to leave it. Well, looks like one final question has just come in. Is there a specific teacher you would like us to put on the verification? No, so that can be any teacher at your school or that teaches you. It doesn't need to be anyone specific, such as your tutor or head of year. So yeah, I think that's a really good place to leave it. Thank you all to our panelists for all of your great insights and inspirational talks about your experiences on the summer school. And yeah, thank you to all the students for coming along today and asking all of your questions. We will share the slides along with a recording of the presentation, and any other questions you can get in touch with us at applications@suttontrust.com. And yeah, thank you. Enjoy your evenings, everybody.